All right. So this is the, session for us to talk about AP, CE, ECE requirements. I think I personally am just feeling like it's tough to balance the needs of the curriculum to get through it all, assuming that the AP exams are going to look the same, and being mindful of the amount of work that's kind of getting sent to the students, and then also, kind of their and their parents' expectations that, they'll be well prepared for the exam in the spring. So I guess, and Dana, feel free to pipe in, but I'm just looking to see kind of how the rest of you are feeling and if you found any strategies that have helped you manage those demands.
I mean, I feel like I've been dropping some content because I've been trying to align my my sequence with what AP specifically says, and I know I'm behind right now. And I'm just wondering, is everybody else behind? If they were actually going to test the kids on all of your material, would you be behind right now, or would you be on pace?
I think I would be behind.
Mm-hmm.
I would be behind. One thing to keep in mind is that we don't have midterms. So that gives us about a week and a half if we want it. Just keep it in mind. But yeah, definitely behind. I think this would be a really difficult time to be teaching an AP class for the first time. I don't know how I'd get through it, but basically I'm doubling up on homework. It's just if I split these assignments into two before, now we have half the number of days to give assignments. So I got to get through twice as much in each class. And it's tough because I really look for ways to assign less work, but it's not busy work. None of it's busy work. Every question I give addresses something different, and they need to see variety. We can't just say, well, just pick 10 questions to do, because then they won't have enough experiences to get that comfort level that when they get to the AP test, oh, I haven't seen something like this. Well, you may not see something like this, but you need to see things in a few different ways. So right now, I'm really just kind of doubling up, and really just, unfortunately, a lot of the activities that I usually do, they go out the window, partially because they have to be in person to do some of them. But really, it's tough. The wait time is tough. I feel like I'm just throwing stuff at them because it's so little time to get through the material.
Could I ask a question? Did College Board or what other organization you're working with, whether it's from UConn, did they put out an adjusted syllabus or an adjusted list of content, or you're literally what you taught 2 years ago in this course is the same thing you're teaching right now? Oh, no.
They specifically said they're not going to adjust AP exams this year. They could change
last year they did, right? Last year they did, but
last year they did, but they told us in April or probably March, the end of March, they adjusted the syllabus, but they said be prepared this year for taking a paper and pencil exam with all the material.
And do you guys feel like you were, sorry for taking over and asking questions, but I field parent phone calls, so that's why I'm here. Do you guys feel like you communicated that to your kids on day one? Guess what? You're in a virtual world and you are going to take a college class online, basically. Okay, you have to see a lot of nodding. Okay, good.
Yeah, and I think that the communication early on was really important to me because I wanted the kids to know before that ad drop period ended, what they were getting into. And I also put it in my open house video, but I'm still finding kids feeling like, they're overwhelmed. The office hours I'm offering are well attended, which is great because they are taking advantage of those times. And I've sent a lot of kids recently to NHS. If they're sitting through my office hours and they're still having trouble, I'm contact NHS tutors. But because my course is one that kids can take before they're, senior, there are tutors available. If it was a senior level AP elective, that option really isn't there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm finding that I'm having to give a little bit on the depth of the material because in order for me to push for them to try questions that they may need explanation afterwards, I don't have the time to go afterwards and go through it with them. So I might be on target for covering, but the way in which I'm covering, I find, is a little bit lacking in depth. I don't know any other way to do it, because normally we would have had time in class to kind of get more into it, but I don't have that this year, so.
Has anyone found a good way to review homework? Because I do, like you, Miriam, I feel like I'll go over a couple things, but I'm just not having class time to really sit and go over and field questions in depth. So I'm wondering if anyone has found a good solution for that.
So
Well, Go ahead.
I'm definitely in that place where I'm not able to go over the homework or go over the assignments and clarify misunderstandings. I do a lot of posting of an answer key or what it should look like.
Mhm.
And I'll, as soon as they give me their work, I send them the link to the answer key and I say, okay, figure it out on your own. I'm here for office hours, or I'm here for extra help if you need it. But I'm on pace, but it just, the depth isn't there. There's a lot of independent work, but I did preset the students and I did preset the parents, and I've sent, 2 or 3 emails home to parents explaining, hey, this is happening and they need to keep up. And it's a lot on them. And what I'm finding also very difficult right now, and I know Jamie and I have talked about testing, but I'm finding it's difficult to test. They need to practice doing FRQs or multiple choice style answers. But there's a lot of, cheating cheating, like they're looking up information. They're not really learning the information. It's a very surface level learn. And I knew that was going to happen, but it's still concerning as we're moving through the course, because I don't feel that they're learning what they need to know. And it's really difficult on my end to assess where are they to provide a real grade for the students. So I'm finding that to be a real challenge.
Right.
Yeah, and I would echo that. I've used GoFormative for the last test I gave, and it was definitely better. But I look at my grade book, and I see a lot of like A's and high B's. But when I look at what they know and are able to do, like I just feel like those grades don't align with where they are.
Usually you can look at your grades and you can align them with what they're probably going to get on the test. And I told my students today, I was like, I don't know what you're going to get. Your grades are all so inflated right now, except for the kids who are riding this late work policy, like not turning shit in and have like a horrible grade. But I can't even, I'm like, honestly, even if you have a C, you might even want to reconsider being here. And I only have 2 that are dropping right now, but I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do. Can we go back to something you said, Andrew? Did they really say, did College Board say it's a paper and pencil test?
I did read
Did
that.
I miss that somewhere?
I read that at the beginning of the year. They said students this year, all materials needs to be covered, and it's a paper and pencil test. So I don't know. I honestly haven't checked if there have been any updates lately, but I think they're just putting it out there. That is the plan.
Yeah.
Now I'm sure that can change,
Right.
But that is what we're expecting, and that's what makes it tough. Is like that means we got to keep up right now. So if they say in March, oh yeah, well you don't really have to know all that. That's not really going to help us in March.
No.
No, that's not going to help us go back and say, okay, let's do all the depths that we skipped from before. That's the problem, and they probably won't. So, yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, if they did SAT on paper, I would expect them to do AP. But
My concern is that the way AP is graded is that it's compared to the rest of the people taking it. And I don't know what other schools are doing. Like, are they meeting more than 2 times a week? And like, are we going to be at a disadvantage because of that? Not because we're not doing a good job with our 2 meeting times or whatever, but because there's other schools that are meeting 5 times a week.
Well, I know Ellington is on their same schedule, right, Ben? Yeah. Isn't Ellington going to school, Ellington High School going on their same block scheduling?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So they are seeing the AP classes are seeing each other the exact same number of times this year as they did last year.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. I feel like we're falling well, in comparison to the rest of the people that are taking the AP test, I feel like our limitations are there, about what we can do. So we'll see at the end, I guess.
I mean, does anybody feel like they want to have more time? Like Tara, I don't know if that's an option, like for Wednesdays, like can the AP start teaching like more times per week than other classes because we need more time?
That sounds like a great question for our fearless leader, Frank Rizzuto. I would not be qualified to answer that question. But if we end up adding Wednesdays back in, which I don't know if that would happen, there's more time for you. So,
Yeah. Does anyone have any positive things they want to share about like what's working well? I guess I'll start. I started giving my kids like a really clear, concise unit plan. Like, here's the day that we meet. Here's what we're doing that day. Here's what you need to do on the day we don't meet. Sort of thing. And I think that's helped them plan their time. Although I have had a couple kids say, oh, I was so busy this week, I didn't have time to do this. And I was like, okay, well, you had the assignment for the past 3 weeks, so try to fit it in somewhere. But what else have you guys been doing that's been working well?
If I could just say, with world languages, a lot of it is speaking. So we were thinking, how could we do that? And luckily we have, the breakout rooms, and now we have a online world language lab. So I can like pair the kids 2 by 2, and we can do a lot of the speaking because half of this test for us is speaking. So a positive note is that, even though we're in a pandemic, we can still practice speaking, and that's really good. So.
One thing that I found that's been successful is honestly sometimes like having to manage like the 2 groups in school and out of school. It's given opportunity for my kids to help each other. And my chat is like crazy all the time. Like someone will ask a question and then someone will answer it and then, respond, so they're helping each other more because they know that I really can't be in 10,000 places at once. So I have to say that overall, I've been really impressed with my kids, and these are kids that are passionate about, like for me, chemistry, and they want to be there. So I think that the group itself has, kind of come together in kind of a different way than normally they would just rely on me completely. So that's a positive. I just want them to be prepared, and I just, want to know if anybody else is feeling like their kids are prepared or if they feel like me.
I've been using breakout rooms for them to try the free response questions because they're kind of intimidating to do on your own. So I've done the breakout rooms and had them kind of work through, and then I visit each breakout room and they do save up the questions for me when I get there. So in that sense, I've been trying to address, the higher level questions, but
one
nothing
question
much
that
else.
came up in my previous happy hour thing was headphones. Would having headphones for students that were in person in this building be helpful for you guys?
Yeah. Our kids usually have them.
But
like
for the ones that don't, like the one kid who doesn't have them and you get that wah, 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 wah sound, like would it be helpful to issue headphones? Now, I can't guarantee that's going to happen, but I'm just wondering. I heard it in the last group. So yeah. Some of you are nodding head.
They could join Google Classroom from in our room, you mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I know IT is kind of mixed on whether or not we should be doing that. However, I've recently learned we are 52% distance learners at this point. So we have 600 and change kids that actually only come in the building out of 1,300. So when you cut that in half for your hybrid model, I mean, we're talking no more than 300 something kids actually logged into a Google Meet at any one time in this building. So we potentially maybe are not bogging down the Wi-Fi by having that many kids logged in. 1,300, absolutely, but with that few, maybe not. So.
And Tara, I think that it's a lot less than that 52% that are actually coming in the building.
That's true too. So many are just opting to not come in, but you guys know that.
We actually just did a huge data pull from, not that you guys, this is different from AP, sorry, Jamie, but we did a huge data pull. We found, I think it was 145 kids that were off track. So there were 145 kids that should be coming in the building and they're choosing not to. We called all of them. I think we got all but 40 of them on the phone. Within 2 days, 45 of them went, I'm full distance, thank you very much. So we switched them. So, we're on top of it, trying to call those kids who are just choosing not to come in. And then I think maybe again, right before Thanksgiving, we'll do the same thing. We'll pull the data, see who's off track, and then make those calls again to say, like, look, you're supposed to be hybrid. Why aren't you coming in the building? What's going on? Mostly people just freaked out with the positive cases. They're not ready to commit to full distance. But at the same time, with the positive cases we had a couple weeks ago, the parents are just saying, like, we're just going to stay home until we see how things go.
So I had situations where I had one student in front of me in AP Calc, and everybody else got groups to work with, like breakout rooms. And that poor one student was sitting here without anybody to work with. And I was trying to offer my help, but I was also trying to get to the breakout rooms. So it almost was a disadvantage for them to be in front of me, unfortunately. So then next time they stayed home. So, like, they figure it out, I guess,
Yeah.
So.
Well, Mariam, I think that one kid could be part of a breakout group, especially if he had headphones. But as long as you don't go into his breakout group to talk to them while he's in it and unmuted, he would be fine to be in a breakout group, and that would work moving forward if he ever came back to school.
I went out in the hallway with my Chromebook and managed the noise thing, but I didn't know that they can log on and be with the kids at home. They can do that. I didn't know that.
Well, I had said before, IT was trying to discourage that because they were worried that all children in the building would do that, would join breakout groups with kids at home, and it would bog down the Wi-Fi in the building. So, but, we're headed in the direction of maybe it's not that big of a deal, but I know Liz is going to touch base with Scott Matchett to try and see what our capabilities are.
Okay.
To do that. But one kid, I don't think is that big of a deal. I've done 2 observations this week, and I've seen people do it in classes where they did breakout groups. They had between 2 and 5 kids in their classes, and they had them do breakout groups, and it worked out just fine.
Okay. Yep.
I'm curious too. I know we don't have midterms, so that does give us back some instructional time. In the past, I've used the midterm as a nice kind of mock mini AP exam experience for the kids. I'm curious what you guys are planning to do with the loss of that time to get them prepped for the test.
I think I use that for the same thing. And I've been kind of quiet because my content's a little different, or I have no content. I have an entirely skill-based curriculum, and I think I might be at an advantage compared to probably every single one of you. It's still hard, but it's definitely a different dynamic because I can look just at skills and don't have to teach content. But I use that too, and I was going to just break it into like a 2-day. It wouldn't count as heavily as the midterm grade, which for mine is probably a better thing. But I was still going to use that because I find that really valuable to see how they did on my, like you said, mini midterm.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't thought that far ahead yet either, Deb, but I'm kind of, thinking now that Andrew brought that up I honestly didn't even think of it, but now I feel like I need to just keep going through that time. I usually do like a full practice test during the 2 weeks before. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. I'm going to try to see. I mean, they can even just do it at home, I guess. But then it's really up to them. They need to know that if they're just going to cheat their way through the schoolwork, when they get to the AP test, they're not going to do well, So I've been trying to put time limits on everything that they do so they don't have time to look stuff up. And I've only caught kids cheating on labs so far this year. So I don't know. I'm trying to watch them. Do we feel like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say the cheating is tough. I've kind of just made my tests open note, but with the time limit, and the averages and, median grades, they're all about the same as last year. So
yeah, is anybody else doing time? How do your grades compare to last year, if you've been able to do that at all?
So I'm definitely seeing a lot of grade inflation, but I do timed tests, and I'm liking Formative as the new platform to help with the time test. I've had them do all of their assessments outside of class, with the exception of the most recent FRQ. Just for time, I can't take the time away from class to give them an assessment when I only see them for 2 hours a week. There is obviously some grade inflation happening because they're looking up material while they're taking the test, and there's really nothing I can do with it. I'm just making myself feel better by thinking that if they're looking at it during the test, that means they're reinforcing correct information one more time. So hopefully that in itself will help them do better in the long run. But I am definitely concerned about whether or not they truly understand the material.
In my case, 2/3 of the AP calculus test is no calculator. And
How are you doing that?
well, I tell them don't use their calculator. But honestly, at home, I have no idea what they're using to them. And so I've also found that on assessment day, some of my kids don't come in that are supposed to be. Yeah. Because I think it's easier to use your graphic calculator at home when I can't see you than it is in front of me. So, I mean, I can only say to them, this would be a no calculator question. You should not use your calculator and learn other ways of doing it. But could they check their work on a graphing calculator? Yes, because it does all the work for them for the things that they expect them to do by hand. So I don't have high hopes for the no calculator part of the exam. Now, whether it's really going to be 2/3 no calculator at the end of it all, I don't know that, you know?
Right. Mariama, did they still have a no calculator part last spring when you took your exam? Because they took that part out of my exam.
No, they had a calculator the whole time.
Same with mine. So I've been kind of doing the same thing, is not focusing on this no calculator piece, because I was like, I don't know. You're going to be able to use a calculator if you're not in front of me. So I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I don't know either. So that's all I can do.
I'm intrigued about the idea of giving the assessments from home. For those of you who have done it, have you run into any issues with them collaborating with one another when they shouldn't be, or like how have you handled that?
So I'm using GoFormative, and Amy Farrell's giving a great advanced session next session if you guys want to look. I found it to be a very good product. You can randomize the order of questions, which is kind of weird because now I have all my free response questions mixed into the multiple choice questions. So like I had 17 multiple choice, 3 free response, and those could show up anywhere. But I tell them, look through, do what you want to do first. The point values are on there, so it lets them know what it is. But the great part, we all do multiple choice. It randomizes the order of the multiple choice questions. So it's not like they can just text each other and say, number 1 is C. Now, I did have one issue where it didn't randomize for one of my classes for some reason. I did notice that some kids actually had all the same answers, but I don't think it's really helping them because the kids that have similar answers to other kids are not doing well. It's not like they're all getting all the right answers. I would say my test grades have been lower, but overall, because assessments are such a small portion of their grade, their overall grades are higher. So I don't feel, any remorse in, okay, let's use this as a learning experience too. But it is it's what they're putting into it. I think a lot of kids don't realize, since we have twice as long between days, we're going to get twice as much work and we're going to have to spend twice as much time on the homework. It's not like just because it's a homework, I got to get it done in 45 minutes or less. It's like, no, this is an AP homework and it may take you an hour and a half to do because it's really two sessions worth of work. It's what they're going to see in college. I mean, that's the reality is you're going to be spending more time outside of class than in class. Mm-hmm. And it's a good time to get used to that. So, but I have found it for assessment, I found that to be pretty effective. I also use GoGuardian. I'm watching them the whole time they're taking it. And when you're doing on GoFormative, I can actually watch as their multiple choice answers come in. And when I noticed that 3 kids all had the same multiple choice answers, the same right ones and the same wrong ones, and all the wrong ones, they had the same values, which could happen. But I went on to GoGuardian and I said, can you tilt your screen down so I can see you better? I think that lets them know I am aware that there could be something going on. And if nothing's going on, they're just like, oh, sorry. And if something's going on, then say, oh, sorry, and I better not do this anymore.
Right. So are you proctoring during class time?
I am.
But they're just home.
I'm sitting there watching them the whole time. In fact, the kids in class can probably cheat the whole time because I'm sitting there watching the kids on the computer.
I thought about that too.
In class, like there are 2 of them and they're on opposite sides of the room, so they can be doing anything. But
I know, like these kids could be like looking up answers or talking to each other practically because I'm like, on the computer.
But I think it is important to monitor them. So I do watch on GoGuardian. On GoGuardian, I also limit what links they can have. So they can have my Meet open, they can have Go Formative open, and my AP exam has a formula packet. So I actually set it so as soon as I start the scene in GoGuardian, it automatically opens the formula packet for them, so they don't even have to try to find it.
Wow.
So
You
I
should
found
have
that.
done a session on how to do Go Guardian scenes for this appy hour, because that's the thing that I struggle with is how to set up the scenes.
I think
Is somebody doing that?
somebody's doing the next session. Nice is doing the next session.
Oh, is
So,
it advanced?
I'm gonna go to that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I've played around with that. I had issues with it kicking them out of the meet and then they had to rejoin, but I think I figured that out. I think we are just about at time. So is there anything anyone else has for the good of the order?
You're welcome.
Thank you.
We're all in the same boat.
Solidarity.
Doing a good job, everybody.
Yeah, good job, everybody. Thank you all.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for doing that.